Dear students, I hope I'm audible to all of you. First of all, we have forwarded the attendance link. I request you all to find the attendance link and fill it accordingly. Okay, it's mandatory. This is attendance and it's mandatory. Okay, I hope everybody has found the link. If you haven't found it, then I will share it again. I'm sharing it again. Here it is again. I have shared it. So today is a very special day for us, for the students of history, or whosoever studies history, whether it's as a generic elective or as a skill, minor, major, whatsoever it is. Okay, and it's my distinct honor today to introduce Dr. Altaf Hussain Para, sir. He's an esteemed scholar. I may fall short of my words in this regard when I say esteemed scholar for him. And by profession, he's an associate professor, Cluster University of Srinagar, that is Department of Higher Education, Jammu and Kashmir Government. Sir has an extensive academic background, having earned his PhD in history from the University of Kashmir, with a focus on the theme that's during his PhD, though later on you will see that it's modern India, especially post-colonial India, as well as Kashmir. That's emergence of modern Kashmir was his theme focus during the PhD. Sir has received 2 gold medals during his MA in history. Sir is having an extensive experience of 13 years in teaching at the higher education level. His contributions to academia are vast, with over 50 published papers in renowned journals and newspapers like Economic and Political Weekly, North Asian International Research Journal, and Greater Kashmir. Sir is one of the featured authors for Routledge, Taylor, and Francis for his work, The Making of Modern Kashmir. In addition to his scholarly achievements, Sir has actively organized national conferences, interdisciplinary lecture series, and has served in several key administrative roles at the college level, including being a convener and member of numerous committees. So, if Sir is, if I am audible to Sir, so I request Sir to please uh, unmute the camera at least. If I'm, yes. Yes, yes. Thank you, sir. Today, Sir will be sharing his insights on history beyond the classroom, modern careers for history graduates. I think it is one of the longed for topics in the contemporary times in 2024. When we see that social sciences are fading away, they seem like they have completed their term. So in such conditions, this is a revitalizing lecture for us. So this topic will be helpful in illuminating that how the study of history can transcend academia and open doors to diverse career opportunities. So I request all to please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Altaf Hussain Para, sir. Sir, please illuminate us, please, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashraf sir. I think nothing can be more gratifying than to have your own colleague shining like anything. I really feel privileged to be, part of your 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 academic activities, and I am really thankful to you and through you to your institution for inviting me today to share my ideas with our students belonging to the subject of history. Uh, Thanks to you also for this long introduction. Although I know this is customary, uh, over exaggerating the role of the guest, his achievements, just to keep audience hooked. Uh, but I must tell your students honestly that Dr. Ashraf sir, he has been instrumental rather in helping me to establish a PG department in Cluster University, Srinagar. During the testing years, I must say, 2019, then 2020, those were very difficult times for us to survive. And it was the instrumental role of Dr. Ashraf to help me in establishing that PG department of history. Uh, I don't think I have much to say to you other than guiding you through to some of the aspects of uh, present day challenge to history and what are the opportunities that we can actually grab in the global job markets. Because with regard to social sciences and history in particular, uh, a general perception is that these subjects are not performing the way these subjects are expected to perform in the job market. Students, pass out students from graduate students from social sciences, they are not much in demand in the present job market, uh, in the economic structures and institutions or opportunities that are available to us. Uh, Therefore, it is a challenge to not only the practitioners of the social sciences and history in particular, but to people like me who are working with students who are working as teachers in higher education institutions. It is a huge challenge to us to make our students at least employable in the job markets. So all of us, my colleagues, we keep on pondering upon the question as to how we can explore new possibilities for our students, how we can prepare our students to face that kind of challenges that world is facing as far as the employability is employment is concerned. So I will just confine myself to some of the aspects uh, of the kind of opportunities that are available to our students if they take careers in history and study history a bit more seriously. But before going to that, I think we will spend a few minutes to uh, to try to understand or to revise as to what actually our subject is and what are the fundamental objectives why we actually study history. That will ultimately help us to reach to our ultimate goal, that is the kind of career opportunities that are available to us. So the fundamental question that is which we keep on asking ourselves, that's what's history. uh, I'm sure that most of you, in fact, all of you, must be knowing the basic meaning of our subject, that's history. Uh, on your screen is a simplified meaning, a definition of history that I'm carrying for your understanding. That is, history is the understanding and examination of the past. It serves as a record of previous events and acts as a collective memory. It tells the story of our identity, our origins, and can offer insights into our future directions. This is the simple meaning of history, that it is a systematic understanding or examination of the past uh, in order to understand different phenomena, in order to understand different occurrences, in order to establish cause and effect of different developments that has taken place, and to understand how actually human society has unfolded itself. But that is one part of the meaning of our subject. Then there is a much complicated aspect of it also, wherein we say that history is uh, much more complicated than simply entering into an inquiry or understanding of the past. Even some schools of thought, they challenge whether history is possible at all. Why? Uh, because they say that history cannot be recreated. What we study in our books, uh, that is not past in itself, because past inherently it cannot be recreated. The moment that has passed. You cannot recreate it. You cannot relive it. Uh, Therefore, what historians do actually is not to create past. What they do actually, they try to make sense of the past. They try to understand the past. Am I audible actually, Ashraf sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Exactly.
Okay.
Loud and clear, sir.
I'm sure students are also there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So history cannot be recreated. What we can do is to understand it simply. We cannot recreate it. We just try to understand it. So history is not past actually. The subject matter is past, but history in itself, the kind of history that we study, is not past in itself. It is basically our understanding of the past, how we understand the past. So it consists of two basic things. One is that is the material, that is the information that is available to us regarding the past, different aspects of the past, which we in historical terms we call it sources. And then added to it is the interpretation that is offered by the analysis, the interpretation that is added to it by the what we call historian or the practitioner of history. So history basically consists of sources and interpretation of the historian. Now, uh, we know that interpretation of one historian cannot be same uh, of that of the other historians. It varies from historian to historian. Every historian, he practices history in a given time, in a given space, with his own personal understanding of certain things. So every historians, when even if they study the same phenomena, they study the same historical uh, phase or any historical occurrence, they offer varying interpretations. That means that there is no history as such. There are other histories. There are different perspectives on our past. There is no singular perspective. There are different perspectives. Every historian, given his own conditions, given his own, uh, understanding, given his access to technology, to sources, and the kind of space that he's operating in, he offers a particular kind of interpretation of the past. So we have multiple perspectives on the past. There is no single perspective on the past. There is another reason why we don't have history, rather we have histories. That is everybody, he has his own understanding of the situations. Every character of history, he understands history uh, from his own perspective. Therefore, there are multiple perspectives on history. Therefore, it is a complicated thing. We cannot have a single explanation of the past. Every student of history must first understand this, that we must try to understand as much perspectives on past as we must try to understand or analyze history through multiple angles. It cannot be understood in simply by one single perspective. Just like if you sit in a room and you start imagining the surroundings through one window, your understanding of the external world will be limited to that angle only. But if you throw open all the windows of your room, then you may have a better understanding as to what is happening uh, outside your room. So this is same is the case with history, that a student of history, a practitioner of history, must try to understand or analyze past through different perspectives. So that means you have to be critical, you have to be analytical, you have to try to understand that side of the past which is not actually visible to the general public, to the general masses. So that is actually the job of the historian, to enlighten those corners of the past, to enlighten those aspects of the past also, which are not visible or which are not understandable to the general masses. So that makes a practitioner of history or a student of history a critical thinker, and that very feature is an important attribute actually, which makes you if not completely different, but different than other students who study other disciplines, whether in social sciences or elsewhere. So being critical is what we can say a prerequisite to a practitioner of history or to a student of history. Then second aspect is that is why we study history, why we need to study past. uh, this is something which has gone, why we need to recollect it. I think and what is the relevance of history to our present? For that, uh, uh, I can say that there are multiple reasons, but I will just confine myself to a few reasons why we need to study past, why we need to deal with the past or understand history. First is simple, that history, it stays around us, it is everywhere. uh, when you go to a public park, when you travel through a road, uh, you come across monuments, you come across architecture, you come across different cultural aspects which has its past, and you always become curious to understand why it is the way it is. So past or history, it is around us, everything has its own history, every individual has its own history. Therefore there is a natural curiosity that one tries to understand the background, the kind of evolution that things might have gone through, architecture, culture, language, so on and so forth. So it is around us. We cannot move away from it. Therefore, we must try to understand it. Then uh, very important thing is that history is just like memory is to an individual. History to a society is just like memory to an individual. An individual, he cannot take decisions if you take his memory uh, uh, away from him. If he's not able to memorize anything, if he's not having that memory in his mind, then naturally he cannot take any decision. He cannot take any decision without memory. So the power of memory is very important in order to reach to a decision, in order to analyze different situations. Same is the case with with a society. Uh, it needs to have that collective memory in order to take decisions, in order to deal with with things that may encounter with it, and then it can plan its future only if it understands, or if is having that memory with it. I will be very brief, and I will straight away go to our main theme actually. Then another aspect is that is the issue of our identity. Without understanding history, we cannot assert our identity, which is very important to any individual or to any society. Without asserting identity, you are actually lost. You may not be able to explain yourself, or the kind of community that you are living in. So identity is an important thing, and for understanding your identity, for coming into terms with your identity, you need to understand your past, where from you have actually come to a particular phase of history. For instance, if you erase history of India, of the people of India, then there is no meaning to be an Indian. We are Indians, we because we have a special kind of identity, and that identity has its history. So therefore, if you remove it from yourself, then you may not have any specific identity. You may not be able to explain yourself. You may not be able to define yourself, your society, your community, your nationality, so on and so forth. So for understanding your identity, for asserting your identity, history is very important. And that assertion can be expressed through different ways: your culture, your heritage, your language, your day-to-day behavioral patterns. So that is that you can only do if you are able to understand your past. And then finally, history is important because it heals us. It heals us, our past scars. Like an individual, if an individual he has been traumatized in his childhood, that trauma, that scar, that remains with him throughout his life. And then when he visits to some psychiatrist, when he visits to some clinic, his consultant, his that psychologist, what he does actually, he encourages him to recollect his past, to retell his past in his own way, rather than the way that was thrusted upon him. So once he reveals his past, once he sort of condemns his oppressor, that expression relieves his pain. Same is the case with societies. Societies must express themselves. Society must tell their stories. Societies must tell their past in order to heal up, in order to recover from many scars of the past. Say, for instance, our experience with colonialism, uh, how we were dehumanized, how many stereotypes were created about us, uh, how we were thrown outside the history, how we were told that you were not capable of managing your own affairs, that you had so many what we can say uncivilized uh, features to your society. So that actually that has remained with us for a long period of time. Even many people, many communities, they started accepting that kind of interpretation that was imposed upon us by a particular colonial project, a colonial construct. So how can you heal your society? How can you heal yourself from those scars, from those damages that were caused by the coloniality? By way of retelling your story, by way of again telling the world that no, we had our own civilizational continuity in the past, that we had a very rich civilization, that we have contributed a lot to the world. uh, I'm sure that you must be reading a course in your PGs, that is Indian knowledge systems. And what is that? That is reassertion that we had contributed in multiple ways to the world. So why I am saying all this? I am telling you all these things because I just want to assert that if you understand history while setting these objectives, then naturally you will be relevant to your present society. Then naturally you will be an important contributor to different aspects of your society, which in other words means that you will be able to be relevant in the present job market in the world. So now coming, if you study history while while setting these objectives, that you have to be critical, that you have to be rational, that you have to be methodic, that you have to establish cause and effect of many occurrences rather than taking things on face value, then naturally that will you know that will enrich you, that will give you a set of diverse skills. And that set of diverse skills will definitely make you employable. That will definitely make you relevant to the global job market. But if you simply try to understand history by way of memorizing dates, events, then that I don't think you will be relevant to the present day corporate world, because corporate world needs people who has their minds, who can analyze things, who can be creative, or who can try to solve certain issues by way of understanding them rationally, by way of offering a rational explanation of certain complex things. So for that you have to understand history uh, in a what we can say different through a different method, by way of being more objective, being more critical to your past. And once you do it, naturally you will find yourself equipped with very important set of skills that are actually needed in the corporate market. And then we have so many opportunities. You will find yourself full of opportunities once you move away or you complete your studies from a particular university. Here in this slide, you will see that these are the traditional ways, careers that are available in history. That is first in academics, where you are needed in government and private schools at primary level or higher secondary level, because history is one of the important subjects of social sciences. No university, no educational setup can think of uh, being rational or being meaningful unless history is taught to students at one or some other level. So therefore that opportunity will remain there for you in academics as teachers at different levels. Then after completing your PG, or I'm sure many of you must have completed it already, you can sit in certain examinations like the one organized by UGC, that is what we call as NET JRF. You become eligible for appearing in NET JRF in your perhaps in your third semester only, and afterwards. Uh, while if you are able to qualify NET or JRF, you will definitely become eligible for a job in higher education of your respective states, uh, even for universities or at college levels. Then history is very useful, and most of the people they opt for history while preparing for UPSC examinations, because it gives you advantage in general studies and other aspects of your preparations also. Therefore, history is very important for UPSC examinations and all that. Or else, after completing your PhD, you can straight away go to research, that is PhD or MPhils in your universities. Then opportunities as career beyond academics. Uh, 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 if you will analyze the global scenario, you will see that societies are becoming more and more interested in understanding their past because of uh, the sort of nationalism that is developing in different societies, and because of the involvement of history in current present day politics throughout the world, how political dispensations and political parties are trying to invoke past in order to assert or develop a particular narrative, and how most of the political battles these days around the world are being fought on the territory of history. So that has created or renewed curiosity of societies in the past, in history. And that is why you will find a huge number of museums, memorials, war memorials, cultural memorials are being, developed in different societies, different countries of the world. And the basic aim of this thing is to make history more accessible to the common people, because uh, the kind of history that academics practice, that mostly remains confined to academia or to universities at higher level. And general people, general masses, they are not able to understand that purely academic history. Therefore, public history, what we call it as public history, it has assumed greater significance. And you people, once you finish your post graduation, you can try to develop skills of being a public historian. Now, what is public historian? Public historian is when you present history in a simplified way, when you present those aspects of history to the common people which are relevant to them, or which amuses them, which interests them. That is how you can take history or historical understanding to the general masses. And how you can develop those skills? You can develop efficiency in maintaining museums, in working in museums, archives, or you have different cultural bodies, cultural institutions. You can engage with them. You can organize events. You can curate uh, uh, exhibitions and all that. And through these innovative ways, you can take history to the general masses, which is need of the time, and which can throw many new opportunities to the students of history. Uh, you can become start startups and all that, through which you can make history popular. You can uh, uh, you can teach history to the people who are non-professionals, who do not understand the nitty gritties of the actual academic history. In India, you have Archaeological Survey of India, a national organization which takes care of monuments throughout the country, and we have more than 3,000 monuments here. So they need people with historical understanding. They need people with proficiency in exploring history, in undertaking research in history. So that can have one aspect of one area where people can find jobs if they study history seriously, and if they have that sense of history and historical methodology. Then, as I just said, that heritage consciousness is developing throughout the world. United Nations is actually they have earmarked certain days where we celebrate heritage, and every country is becoming more and more conscious about preserving its heritage, about preserving its past remains. So heritage preservationists can be a new area where students of history can find opportunities. In my state, in my area, that is Kashmir, uh, an organization is working, which is known as Intact, and they are doing commendable job by way of recreating the old buildings, heritage buildings, and all that. And mostly they engage people with historical background, with historical understanding, in order to guide them how to recreate the past monuments, how to preserve the past monuments. So students from history, they have an advantage of understanding heritage in a better way than other students. They can, find themselves in lucrative jobs as far as the preservation of heritage is concerned. Here, I have compiled a table where students from history can find jobs in heritage, this management area, in multiple ways. You can be tour guides, you can be historic, and modern world has, rather than confining the students of history to classrooms as teachers and educators, uh, has thrown open new avenues, new way, new markets for exploitation. But simply, you need to be a bit skillful. Uh, you need to be a critical thinker. You need to understand nitty-gritties of your subject, and you need to be more innovative in order to correlate past with the present world. Then public relations and outreach, wherein you can be a policy analyst, you can be a heritage site advisors, as I was just mentioning the case of Intact. They need a good number of advisors who can help them in preserving the past monuments and buildings. Uh, then we have a new area that is emerging, that is what we call as digital history, where we can integrate history with technology also. For instance, uh, you can make use of GIS or artificial intelligence in order to study history in a uh, innovative way, wherein you do not need to spend months and years in a particular library. You can analyze certain developments or patterns of history by way of using these, innovative techniques. And then you can, with the help of these techniques, you can create virtual archives. It's a new concept now, virtual archive and interactive websites, and by way of making use of technology, you can make history more accessible to the general masses, which has so far remained. Visiting an archive, visiting a museum, uh, it is considered to be a very boring or very difficult thing for common people. But if you are able to create virtual archives, if you are able to create interactive websites, if you are able to present historical content in a much interesting way through the use of these new techniques, you can reach to your public in a much better way. I have written here uh, on this slide the example of Abhishek Patel, who is making good use of technology for making history popular. Then we have uh, the media industry, the entertainment industry right now, which has a huge potential to employ the people with historical background. Uh, you know, uh, uh, in media, content creation is a very important job that a person from historical background can do in a much much better way. Then you have cinema, you have entertainment industry, movies, serials, and so on and so forth, which mostly rely upon historical, knowledge, which mostly are historical in nature. And for that, you can be employed as researchers, you can be employed as advisors, and so on and so forth. Because movies, entertainment based on history, it has assumed, great significance. Take for instance, recently the movies that were released, Padmavat, Jodha Akbar, uh, because of its being historical in nature, and because the people being interested in history and wanting the movie to be presented in a certain way, these films were, a huge success. And uh, naturally, these films like this have thrown new opportunities open to the students of history to grab. Ashraf Sab, am I audible?
Sir, you are audible loud and clear,
Uh,
and
I'm
very
sure
keenly stood.
I'm not
Every
taking
very
much
keen.
time.
No, sir. Very keenly students are listening as well as I.
Thank you
Certainly am.
so much. Thank you
Okay.
so much, sir. I won't take much of your time now. I'll be just concluding after a few minutes.
Sure,
Then
sir.
we have career opportunities in law and policy making. Uh, some of you must be aware about a recent, very important case uh, that has just been concluded in Supreme Court of India. That was with regard to a legal, a challenge with regard to recently abrogated Article 370. And arguments from both sides lasted for so many days, in fact weeks. And most of the arguments, if you analyze that case keenly, you will find that most of the arguments were, rather than being simply based on different provisions of constitution and law and all that, those were based on the understanding of certain historical events that has taken place before 1947 and afterwards. So throughout those weeks when that case was discussed in Supreme Court, it was a good visual to take lessons on modern Indian history. So lawyers were, uh, they appeared to be more teachers of history rather than being experts of law. Uh, why I'm saying this is that uh, in legal, this aspect, in the practice of law, most of the cases are basically based or rooted in our past, in our history, uh, a particular understanding of the history. So lawyers, even eminent lawyers, they include people from historical background as their researchers, as their advisors, so that they can better understand certain important cases, so that those cases are better argued in the courts. So law is an emerging field where people from history background are much needed to give insights, to understand certain things which are not being understood simply in terms of law and legality, which can only be understood in terms of understanding the past in a much critical way. In the same way, policy making, uh, even some governments are taking what we can say insights from people with historical background in order to develop a particular policy in different areas of governance. So knowledge regarding history is considered to be very important as far as for developing better legal system, for formulating sustainable and better government policies. And for that also, people from history background are much required these days. Then careers in international relations and diplomacy. Uh, Historians with expertise in international relations, they can contribute much to global diplomacy by way of working with organizations like United Nations and other such organizations. Uh, Being a diplomat is a high profile, job or career. So uh, people with good historical understanding, people with better understanding of historical methodology can sometimes be better negotiators, better diplomats than the people from other backgrounds. So there are high job opportunities, high career job opportunities in diplomacy, in international law, if you have a very good historical understanding. Um, UNESCO, UN organization, they are employing a good number of people, graduates with historical background for different programs that they are organizing or operating in India, like preservation of heritage and so on and so forth. Then, in present world, consultancies are playing a very important role, and consultancies are actually again highly paid jobs. If you opt to a consultancy, a high profile consultancy, that means you are opting to a high paid job. And consultancies too, they need a good number of people from historical backgrounds. You have NGOs, you have other organizations, and they get people from historical background with a working research knowledge to develop policies, to frame certain what we can say blueprints for different organizations, different government bodies, to for their recourse. Uh, you have in India think tanks like ORF, then government organizations, Niti Ayog. They encourage people from historical backgrounds as interns, so that they have a first hand experience of working in organizations, in undertaking research and other activities. So consultancies, perhaps most of you must be knowing that consultancies are present. They consider to be very important for managing elections, to for political parties and all that. You might have heard the name of much celebrated Prashant Kishore, who is offering his services to political parties. Uh, they too engage a good number of people from historical backgrounds to analyze the patterns, past patterns, to undertake research in the past elections and societal behaviors and all that. So for that too, there are good opportunities for students of history to grab. Then archival and record management. This is an area which is actually which has been reserved for people from history backgrounds. Governments are taking more interest these days towards managing archives, because the kind of legacy they want to leave behind, the kind of records they want to leave behind is always very important for any dispensation, for any government. So for that, they too need people from history background uh, as archive managers, as record managers, for libraries, for universities, and for other government institutions. Also, you need people who can manage records, who can maintain archives, departmental archives, institutional archives, so on and so forth. So there too, you have good opportunities to take recourse of. Then marketing. I think one of the emerging industries, leading industry is marketing, advertising industry, and all that. And advertising, you have to convey something within seconds. You cannot explain things for hours to your potential customers. You have to explain. You have to make things very interesting so that you can convey that within the shortest period of time. So that is how a particular advertise gets popular. If it is more interesting, if it is more effective, and it conveys a particular message in a clear way. And it has been observed that advertises, that marketing tactics with a clear historical background has more effect on potential customers, on the viewers, than if you create something which is imaginary in nature, which is hypothetical in nature, so on and so forth. So many advertises which are considered to be very successful had a historical background, where content is rooted in history, where you are able to connect you or your customer with the past. Then also, market experts, they say that the best way of marketing is when you advertise through storytelling. Storytelling is considered to be one of the better ways to create interest among the customers, to create interest among the receivers of the information. So people with history background, people with history graduation uh, can be better content creators for marketing industry of the present world. Then there are career opportunities. Literature is a huge industry these days. If you are a bestseller writer, you can earn in millions of within shortest period of time. And in literature also, one of the aspects of literature is that is what we call historical fiction, where you write novels or essays or uh, any other aspect of literature with historical content. Uh, that is one way of telling the history to the people. Because novels, they had an advantage where you can highlight different perspectives of the past through different characters. That is a much effective way of making history popular among the common readers. So historical fiction and historical literature has also assumed a very significant position in world market these days. And people with historical background and better writing skills, they can try their luck in as writers and all that. You might have heard the name of uh, uh, William Daryampal, which is one of the popular historians of India. What he's doing, he has dedicated. He's not taking any academic assignment and all that. He has dedicated himself to writing historical content, historical books, rather popular history, history that can be understood by common people without historical background. And he has become he's a very successful writer in India these days. Recently, he has published yet another book, I think 12th or 13th of his career, which is expected to be a very successful publication. Uh, so, writing as taking career as a writer, historical writer, uh, a literary figure with historical content can be an alternative for some people who are interested simultaneously in literature and who has better communication and storytelling skills. Then gaming these days on internet, it's a big industry, particularly for children. And it has been observed that games with historical content are mostly liked by the people, by the children, and by elders as well. So I have mentioned here a few games like Assassins or Chronicle, India. These are some of the games which are rooted in history and which has become very popular on internet and other platforms. So I think these are the opportunities. Or I forget to mention another area where students of history can be very useful. That is the publishing industry, both digital publishing or publishing in a traditional way. People from historical backgrounds are much in demand as editors, as content developers, so on and so forth. So publishing industry is also an area where some of our students can try their luck. So with this, we reach to the conclusion of our presentation. My last assertion would be, or advice to students would be, that is one, to understand history in a much, what we can say, objective way, rather than taking it as dates and events. They must more engage themselves in understanding how and why of the things, in order and also trying to establish cause and effect of the past occurrences. That will definitely give them advantage and much needed skills for the present day job market. That is one. Second advice would be that they should incorporate or make use of modern technology like artificial intelligence and other digital technologies, and mix them with their understanding of the past. Then and only then they can find themselves in a better position as far as their career opportunities are concerned. I think this much is sufficient for today, and I'm sure that I did not bore you too much. With this, I hand over mic to my colleague, Dr. Ashraf, for carrying proceedings forward.
Thank you, sir. So first of all, I would like to share some questions, sir. We have actually received some questions from the students during the session. Yeah. So one of the questions is traveling necessary to know about history?
Definitely, traveling is an important thing. That's why in our PGs or UGs, we are much concerned about organizing historical tours for our students so that they can have first-hand information about things. They can feel, about different epochs of history. That is, I think, the best way. Being, if you are a good traveler, you can understand history in a much better way as compared to the people who generally confine themselves to understand history through written literature and books only. Traveling is an unavoidable, I think, aspect of understanding history, understanding past.
There are a few more questions. One was asked by Sudeep Shikhamani, that is, history without past is like an inclination towards no identity and doesn't play a role in the present. So I think this question has been discussed within the lecture, where history has been considered one of the important aspects to reveal
Identity
the
formation
identity.
is.
Yes, 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 sir, yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
So I hope Sudeep, I think your question stands answered. If you further wanna know about it, you can.
Sure, history. I think it is. I think very important aspects of uh, formation of identities. As I mentioned during my initial remarks, that if you take history away from you and as an Indian, and then somebody tells you to explain yourself as how you are an Indian and what is to be an Indian, I think you will find it very difficult to explain your identity, because it is history. Actually, it is your past. It is your culture. it is your it is your religion, it is your way of living, it is your behavioral patterns, your pressing, your food, everything that gives you a particular identity, that makes you what you are actually. If you take away all these things uh, uh, which are rooted actually in the past, then naturally it will be very difficult for you to explain yourself, to explain your identity, to identify yourself in the community of nations.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have another question. It's related to, I think these are two questions actually. Like there is importance of the preservation of the monuments or whatever we have the sources. And a second question in this related is, I think first one is just explanation of one thing. Second is that do historians play a role in the corporate world? I think that the question was that after graduating in history, do the students have any role in the corporate world?
I think my whole presentation revolves around finding your place in corporate world while being a graduate of history or student of history. I think people with history background are much required in corporate world these days as policy analysts, as as the people who can formulate the policies, who can understand the patterns of different things, and who can formulate market strategies based on past patterns and all that. So I think people with historical sense and a good understanding of historical methodology can be very useful to the industry as far as formulation of policies and analyzing different policies are concerned.
Sir, we have one last question. I'm sorry that I'm asking so many questions to you, sir.
Not at all. In fact, I'm trying to be very brief so that we can accommodate more questions.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. So this is a question from Said Saima Shaukat. Actually, she has mentioned that I don't want to take the theme of with this question. I don't want to take the topic from its main theme. She just wanted to know that with the rise of pseudo historians, can we ensure the integrity of historical knowledge is preserved in the contemporary times?
Good. It is not that pseudo historians has emerged. It's a new phenomena. Pseudo historians has been there always. As I mentioned during my presentation, uh, political dispensations or politicians, they have always used or misused or abused historical understanding for their for developing certain narratives. That has always remained a challenge. Politics has always remained a challenge to historical knowledge. And in present world, because of the social media, every person he tries to project himself as a serious historian. Uh, Naturally, that should not impact us or that should not bother us. Rather, we must be more honest towards our understanding of history. If you create content which is actually rooted in the real history, then naturally pseudo history it will become redundant, and people will try to understand the difference between fiction narration and the solid history writing or solid history content. It has always remained there. Challenges has always remained there. You have always politics and other people who had fictionalized past or who has created false narratives based on history. That has remained there, but and that will remain there. I think serious historians should not much bother about that thing. They should, I think, more concentrate on creating new techniques and better ways to explore the past in a much scientific and objective way.
Thanks, sir, for answering these questions. I think ample questions have been asked. Discussion has been very interesting. So, on behalf of Center for Distance and Online Education, especially the Executive Dean, ma'am, Director, Executive Director, and Director, Lovely Professional University, that is our family of distance and online education at LPU. I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Altaf Hussain Para, sir, for delivering such an insightful and thought-provoking lecture. on the theme History Beyond the Classroom, Modern Careers for History Graduates. As we know that Sir has a lot of experience in this field, and he's an author as well. As I told in the introduction, that he's one of the featured authors for the Taylor and Francis. So his expertise and depth of knowledge have certainly truly enriched our understanding of the diverse career paths that I think we were hitherto unaware of. Because we generally go for the journalization, we go for the traditional things, and I think that Sir's knowledge in this regard has enriched us, and it has shown us those closed paths that we were hitherto unaware of. And with these things, I'm sure that our students might have learned a lot, and I think the career after the history will not be limited to those traditional things, and there will be many more opportunities added to it. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot again, sir. And I hope that we will be we will be hosting you once again at this platform. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dear students, I have shared the feedback form. So kindly record your feedback in that link. That will be helpful, because with the feedback, we can plan in a better manner.